In this video, I want to highlight some counties of interest in Iowa so that we can all see how wide the spectrum is for Iowans experiencing the pandemic. I want to operationally define one term before I get into the meat and potatoes of this video, namely a logistic curve. A logistic curve, sometimes referred to as a sigmoid curve, is a type of graph that begins with seemingly slow exponential growth that demonstrates the speed of transmission once the positives start showing up in larger numbers, hits an inflection point, then shifts into exponential decay when a virus has infected enough people in a group and is unable to find more people to infect. This exponential decay can either be attributed to herd immunity through infection, herd immunity through vaccination, or people staying away from others outside their household and universally wearing masks. Once exponential decay has reached only sparse positives occurring for 14 days, then a county is safe to slowly reopen businesses, provided that daily positivity continues to stay under 5%, mask usage is universal, and people still only interact with people outside their households during essential trips. Outdoor activities should be reasonably safe with proper mask usage and social distancing. Let's start with Johnson County. Since Iowans there experienced the pandemic early and hard, meaning that county has the most data. On all county pages, the first thing you will see is the county name and population. I think it's important for all of us to be able to see how very few positives it takes to cause community spread and businesses to shut down. Johnson County currently has had a spike in new confirmed and active infections, which amounts to the second iteration of the first wave. When we scroll down to Johnson County's cumulative positives graph, we see that the county is experiencing their second round of exponential growth, right here. This has been due primarily to younger Iowans not wearing masks, not socially distancing, and not staying home as much as possible. Iowa will continue to have little New Yorks in every city and every county until all Iowans fully comprehend that this virus spreads like wildfire unless all mitigation and prevention measures are adopted. As a contrast, let's go over to Adams County. Positives have been very sparse, and the whole pandemic in Adams has culminated in less than 10 cumulative positives. And yet, we still have a logistic curve, just one that is very small. Now for some interesting outlier counties. First, Delaware County. There were a number of anomalies at the end of April and the beginning of May, during which positives were added and removed daily. Then the county stabilized for a while, but has had steady transmission since June 10th, 2020. Their cumulative graph is an elongated logistic curve that feels more like a mildly curvy linear graph. Second, Polk County. Just like the logistic curve for the whole state, Polk experienced exponential growth that turned linear when Reynolds opened the state at the end of May. And lastly, my county of residence, Story County. We seemed late to the game, as it were, since there was low testing. Things started taking off in early May when businesses opened in the 77 safe counties. We seemed to have slow growth until June 5th, and then transmission was everywhere. We have had double-digit growth every day since then, with the exception of weekends when testing statewide is very low due to providers and Test Iowa both being closed. I think the thing we all must remember is that each county tells its own story during the pandemic. Some counties, especially the ones with lower population densities, will have sparse positives, and the virus will slowly infect people until we have a safe and effective vaccine. Other counties, especially the ones in metro areas, will have repeated spikes and dense transmission every few months until we get a vaccine. This will present in the cumulative graph as a stepwise logistic curve at intervals unique to each county based on completely human behavior alone in those counties. In the next video, I will discuss how demographics plays a role in how Iowans are experiencing the pandemic and what groups are at higher risk for severe disease and potentially death.